Welcome in, everyone, to Hockenheim. I'm Curtis Kenyon, otherwise known as NinjaRider. Looks like I'm going completely solo this evening, afternoon, morning, or early morning, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome in. This is rFactor 2. Should be an interesting one as we watch Greg Baxter just kind of roll around the track right now. Qualifying session number 1 is underway for those new to rFactor 2. Yeah, we run it a little bit different here than the F1 Esports style of things. We do have 2 qualifying sessions. We have a qualifying 1, top 10, then move on to qualifying number 2 to figure out order as Craig Baxter spins that one on the last corner. Pushing a little bit hard there, it seems. We've had a couple of pretty fast guys kind of show up here at Hockenheim. Very different than our last couple of tracks, Monaco and Baku. Traditional race course, obviously, but much more flowing. Definitely a lot faster, in my opinion. Hockenheim can be one of the more interesting races if you don't really know the track much. It features 2 different horseshoe setup style turns, sequence of corners, I should say, as well as a very, very fast front straight and turn 1. Turn 1, you do have to brake really hard to get in there. As we're watching Nick Bracke go into, I believe that is the second set, Mobile 1 and Sachs. That is the name of the, yes it is, of the second set of sort of horseshoe turns, if you will, as he heads his way onto the front stretch. We should be seeing a lap time here. I guess not. So I did have to scramble to get this one going, so pardon me while I get everything set up, and I don't know why, but the track has a very shaky pit camera. It's pretty much on all of them, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. Sergi Harras is here. Kieran Chadwick looking fairly racy. It does look like Craig Baxter will be the top lap as we get going here. Right now, Sergi's sitting on a 113.3. Expect that to drop quite a bit. Still watching Nick Bracke from here. I will be trying to keep up with the chat. I see you in there, Scott Gaming. Wonder what's going to happen at turn 1. I have no idea. Anything can happen here. A very long pit exit. No crossing of that white line, of course. Those can be reported, and they are looked at. If you do cross that, you do get a penalty for the next race. Hockenheim was not on the schedule last season, so the newer drivers should rephrase that. The drivers that joined last season don't really know this track, but we do have a few veterans in the field at this point, and they should be fairly familiar with this track. And anybody who's really raced in any of the F1 games or any rFactor 2 events in general should be fairly familiar with this track. It's kind of easy to learn, but hard to master, very much like Tetris or checkers, maybe even chess. So Nick right now on his outlap. We're just kind of watching along as things move on here. Track does get mildly thin through Sachs, through Mobile 1, through Sachs, 13, 14, and 15. You get fairly thin. The track does sort of narrow out. You can see Sergi right there. He's going to pull off and take that lap. He does go a 1:12.9. Nick is going to vacate that lap. Let's go ahead and have a look at Craig. Baxter's laid down a 1:13.1. I believe this is his second lap on these tires. Another bit of a twist. Hello, Jess. Another bit of a twist on this is that we have the Ultras, the Supers, and the regular softs here. No mediums. Mediums probably should have been on the schedule, but there's a bit of a twist here. We're going to see some higher tire wear. We should be seeing 2 stops in the race, unless someone like Sergi or maybe Baxter could stretch out the regular soft tires to last a little bit longer. Who knows? We might maybe seeing a 1-stopper. I don't think so. Sergi has been known to be very easy on the tires. There's the car right there. So there is a possibility that we could potentially, although I very much doubt it, see a 1-stopper. I think it's going to be a little bit slow though. So I expect a 2-stop with the Super Softs being the primary tire here. Unless, of course, someone bins it very early and wants to go for a bit of a tire strategy. We could see that. Who knows? Let's go on board with Sergi. Going through Parabolica right now. Coming up here on the hairpin. Nails the brakes right after the 100-meter mark. Spins him up a little bit. This might still be quick. Some game sounds would probably be good. There we go. Already made his way through Mercedes in turn 10, coming into turn 11. This is Mobile. Into Sachs. Down to 4th gear. Rolling his way through that corner. You see that little bit of bank there on the inside. Really need to use that. Could see a lot of passes there. And suit curve, turn 16. Oh, gets up on the sausages. And he's going to have a bit of a ride. And while we were on board, Craig Baxter nabbing 1st place. And you can see in the pit cameras, very odd setup here. And that has something to do with the track. Unsure as to why that is set up that way. Sam Carpenter. Oops, here we are. Sam Carpenter. Slots into 4th. Looks like Phil Kraus has nabbed 2nd place. He was looking quite racy a little bit earlier. Phil looking at a 1:12.9. And Sergi only, let's see, less than 10th, less than half a tenth. 4 100ths behind him. Bill in the garage right now. Sergi on the track, trying to improve his position, making a run for pole. Needs to make up a little more than a 10th. Might have some help here. Bit of a slipstream. do have two, if I'm not mistaken, DRS zones. Yes, we do, through Parabolica and the front stretch. Of course, this being qualifying, everybody's using them. For those just tuning in, I'm Curtis Kenyon. I'll be bringing the action to you as best as I can. I am alone this evening, morning, or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Sergi is starting to look a little bit racy here. This one should be his time lap. Let's go ahead and go on board. God, he nails those brakes right at the 100 marker. Manages to keep nice and tidy coming out of the hairpin. Yeah, a little bit tough actually on these cars. There's a lot of torque involved. Keeping the rear traction can be a little bit rough. You do have to have a very steady right foot. So he looks like he is following. That's Max Lister. The ZestyOranges racing car. Looking nice and tidy. Not phased by Max's sausage riding. There we go. Nails a time. That's coming in here. Nails the pole. A 1 minute 12 and a half as we go off board. Over to Kraus sitting in third place now. Oh, just getting a little bit messed up there on the outward sleeping policeman, if you will. Rather large one there on the outside. Don't really want to ride that too hard. Come through Sarud. He will vacate the lap, it looks like. Kieran Chadwick slots into second place in a minute 12.6. Very racy himself. This is Brandon O'Henlin. He's looking to log a time right now. O'Henlin does improve to fourth place. Kraus is falling down the order as the first qualifying is done. My goodness, that camera is tough to watch, isn't it? Your top 10. Moving on to Q2. Sergi Harass, Kieran Chadwick, Craig Baxter, Brandon O'Henlin, Philip Kraus, Sam Carpenter in 6th place. Not bad from him. Matthew Klipp hitting 7th place, looking fairly racy. Noah Chilla, 8th place. Good showing for him. 9th place is Mac Shepard. And 10th, Scott Davison. Last season's championship contender. Also looking quite racy. As we wait for the server to turn over here. Hopefully the stream looks okay. I apologize if it does not. I'm working on some technical side things myself as the drivers beginning to leave their pit boxes. Apparently we're going the 24 route with these camera angles. Kieran looking very good. Trying to make Zach Jones proud. Zach, unfortunately, is out on assignment. This would be very early morning for him, so he cannot make it, unfortunately for him and us. Have to admit, kind of misses dulcet tones, but you're going to have to put up with me. And I apologize in advance. But yes, this one should be quite the race. I think the drivers do enjoy a little bit of a change of pace considering the street circuits lately. And after Monaco, the drivers do seem a little bit more relaxed. And I'll be honest with you, after driving Monaco in this track, if you don't really know the car at this point, you are going to be having a bit of a rough time for pretty much the rest of the season. Monaco is such a demanding driver's track. You really learn the car and how it works, how it reacts under certain situations. You bring that experience to the rest of the season. Speaking of the season, I don't have a graphic for this, but we can update you on the championship standings. Craig Baxter looking at first place right now, 3 wins with a 4th at the last race. Not bad, 105 points. 20 points behind him is Sergi Haras, 85 points. Looking very strong right now. That 7th place, I believe, at Baku. It isn't really helping him much at this point. Phil Kraus, 3rd place. Had a DNF in the 2nd race out. Still kind of recovering from that 41 points back. Sam Carpenter sitting 4th place. Not bad. Not a bad season for him so far. Took a 12th. I believe that was, well, that was the 3rd race in, and that's really what's hurting him at this point. Brandon O'Henlin, 5th place. Fairly steady all the way through. Took a podium in the 3rd race. Of course, round 3 was the Chinese Grand Prix. O'Henlin, nice strong finish there. Noah Chilla did not participate at Baku, putting him in 6th place. Took 11th at Australia. That's one of the reasons why he's a little bit down. Matthew Klipp and 12th, sitting 7th place. Jukapeka Lalu, not here this evening. In 8th place still with 18 points. Not bad. Kieran Chadwick, a 9th. Danov Brantham in 10th. We have Mac Shepard in 11th. Hasn't had very great finishes so far. Looking to improve. And pretty much everyone else from on back has had either no finishes or just hasn't started a race. We have had a few different drivers being dropped. So if you would like to join this league, you can apply. Visit ApexOnlineRacing.com and jump in to the action yourself. You will need to apply. There's a little bit of an application process, more or less to kind of filter through the some toxicity. We are definitely doing this for fun, although it is very, very competitive. Do like to make sure that you are invested in the league. If you are on Discord, please hop in our Discord server. That's on the website. Our Discord server, usually full of memes on the RF2 side. I say that somewhat in jest, but I'm actually kind of serious. You must have the memery involved. We do poke fun at each other. We do try to have some fun. We do take the league very seriously, though. When it comes to race time, it is time to race. But during practice sessions and everything else that we do do try to have a little bit of fun. Looks like, was that Phil? I think that was Phil Kraus who had an excursion off the track. Yeah, he did go back to the garage. Sergi still leading the quali session at this point at 1:12, which I think Baxter will be making a run for him. Baxter right in the garage right now. Scott Davison sitting 3rd in a standard car. Doesn't have a ride this season. He is participating in a bit of a shortened season, a condensed season, if you will. Not able to run all the races this year. He wasn't quite sure exactly what he was going to be able to do this time out, so he wanted to just make sure a ride is open for someone else. He vacated his seat from last season and participates when he can. And when he does participate, he's usually up there fairly well. Brandon O'Henlin sitting in 4th place at the moment. Strong showing from him. Matthew Klipp sitting in 5th. Not bad on the Ultra Softs. He doesn't have DRS open here. Now that could be a bit of a glitch. Unsure as to why that is. There could be a few strategy calls here. You might just be getting used to the ultras. And we have seen in the past that some of the front runners have set their fast times on a harder compound tire. As Sergi goes a minute 12.2, looking very, very fast. Baxter on the ultras, looking for a pole. The drivers do need to start on the qualifying tire that they set their fastest lap on. We have seen drivers actually use the harder compounds to just set their fastest lap and then go back out onto the softer compound to either set a faster lap or maybe just miss it and still use the strategy to their advantage or disadvantage, depending on how you see it. We've seen Baxter do it. We've seen Sergi do it. We've seen quite a bit this season that would entail strategy calls. I see you in the chat, Austin. How you doing? The NA Dream Team showing up. This will be the last laps of this session. We'll be watching the time boards. Craig Baxter looking to improve 2.5 tenths on Sergi. Let's go ahead and go on board. Making his way through Mercedes. Sorry, not Mercedes. That's Mobile One. This is Sachs. 13-14. Up and over the little hump there. Now making his way through Sud Curve. Rifling down the front stretch. Sets the time. A 1 minute 12.3 does improve, but narrowly missing it by 0.080 seconds. Just barely missing it, but nipping at Sergi's heels and looking fantastic doing it. Brandon O'Hanlon looks like he's going to be last on the track. Phil Krause slots into 3rd place. As O'Hanlon does finish out, he'll end up 7th. I apologize if the screen does freeze a little bit right there, but your qualifying order. God, that camera angle is rough. Your qualifying order: Sergi Harass, nabbing pole. Craig Baxter just could not quite catch him, so he'll start 2nd place on the outside. Phil Krause slotting into 3rd. A fantastic showing there for Phil. Kieran Chadwick in a 4th place. Not bad for him either. Scott Davison rounding out the top 5. And Sam Carpenter, 6th place, with Brandon O'Hanlon next to him. Mac Shepard grabbing 8th place as Noah Chilla and Matthew Clip round out the top 10. Not a bad showing all around, everyone. Well done. And like I said, we're just kind of waiting for warm-up to start. Usually, if you guys are new to this, usually the order has to be set by the server administrator for the remaining runners, and they put those into their qualifying order based off of Q1, and then we move into warm-up. In warm-up, you want to make sure you know where the pit box is. You want to make sure you know where the pit entrance is. Make sure you don't miss it. Don't want to be speeding through pit lane, obviously. And make sure you understand how the pit exit works. If you have any questions, warm-up is the time to make sure you ask those questions. Make sure you know exactly what to do. We have seen penalties occur from a few races last season, and even in this season. We had a few from Monaco that are being doled out, it looks like. As I go to just kind of make sure any of those are being logged. Also, for those that are new to this, there is an anti-cheat that we run. There is some history in rFactor of some cheating. Unfortunately, it is kind of a little bit open source. Fairly easy to get into the files and things. And I don't think we've had anybody necessarily cheat here, but in the interest of competitiveness and just to be sure, we do run an anti-cheat program that is required and does show up for the administrators of the league when you are running it, and it will tell us whether or not, well, you're literally running some sort of, higher grip, higher throttle, more engine power as opposed to everyone else. But to be honest with you, we haven't had anybody actually do any sort of cheating in any way. And I really hope it stays that way, honestly, because the competitiveness is fantastic here. Austin, good to see that you have purchased rFactor. Hopefully you enjoy it. We'll have to get you the commentary pack so that maybe you can do a couple of these if you so choose, of course. That said, it looks like people are making their way onto the track. We're going to find a better camera angle here. Take a look at your pole sitter. Sergi looking very racy. Once you get into the race, as we all know, things can change. We've updated the driver standings. Go ahead and take a look at the constructors. Sabre Racing looking very good. 122 points at this juncture. Followed closely by Defiance Racing, 17-point gap. Now, Defiance were racing with only one driver. That's Craig Baxter in the beginning of the season, while Liam made his way into the series. Unfortunately, he needed to skip the first few races for personal reasons and has now made his way into the championship and is starting to really learn the car and starting to get a little bit faster, much more comfortable. It's going to take him some time to really figure out this whole thing. And you can see one of the Royal Blues diving into the pits. That's exactly what you have to do for this race. Sergi's going to make a bit of a standing start practice. Sergi, speaking of Sergi Harass, Esports, 85 points at this juncture, 20 points behind the Defiance squad. Now, Sergi, unfortunately, is looking for a teammate. His teammate was removed from the league for not participating in enough races in a row. So, for reasons unknown, unfortunately, he will be needing a teammate. If anybody would like to join in the league, that is one of the open spots. And Sergi has been known to be very fast and, well, at least during interviews, pretty friendly. Likes to banter a lot, which is good stuff. We do like to see that, of course. We do have a few hotheads around, and that's okay, because this is racing, and that's how it is. Thrive Vulcan, 4th place right now. Looking to improve. Royal Blue main squad coming in, and in 5th, VD Sport, otherwise known as the Royal Blue Junior. 26 points, actually tied there for 5th place. And Zesty Racing in 7th place. Looking to improve, had a very strong qualifying session. In Philip Cross taking 3rd place. Hopefully he'll be able to hold that and make his way to the front of the field. Not much time left here in warm-up, 4.5 minutes or so. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to toss them in the chat. I'll be doing my best to make sure I read the chat as Sergi comes into the pits for a bit of practice. And that's what I'm talking about. Got to make sure you nail those pit lines, nail the points right there. And you can see, you can kind of dive into the entrance of this one. You kind of have to. You're carrying so much speed through the penultimate corner. Unfortunately, these are going to be our pit cams. I am not a fan of this unsteady cam. It is very odd. Yeah, guys, if you would not like to see that, please let me know. Yeah, also, if you would like to race, Austin, I'll let you know. You know where to go on the website, of course. But to let everyone else know, ApexOnlineRacing.com. Check us out. Check out the forums. Browse around. Have a look. And if you would like to race here, rFactor, or any of the other series that we participate and, well, have leagues for, feel free to sign up. Lots of different things going on at all the time. And car mods, this particular mod is private, so you do need to sign up for the series in order to have an understanding as to how this one works. It is very, very good. I've driven it much, like a lot. And I may not be fast anymore, nowhere near as fast as these guys, but I'm sure with a bit of practice I'd be able to keep up with the back markers. We do have a rule, 104% in your qualifying. Your qualifying is the last chance to get into the race. You do need to log 104% lap time to the fastest lapper to make sure that you get into the race. You can do that throughout the week, so you have plenty of time to do that. But on that note, we have had to enforce that rule a couple of times this season. A few of the newcomers weren't quite ready for it, and that's okay. And we do 104% because this is simulation racing. It's not that we're necessarily going for closer racing per se, quote unquote. It's more along the lines of we're all amateurs here, and you know, you're in the heat of battle. You're trying to go as fast as you can, and sometimes you miss a blue flag. And normally it's okay, but we have had a few instances where somebody at 107% is just a little bit too slow, and the leaders have crashed into them, or they've caused issues when it comes to trying to get around them. Unfortunately, we have had to enforce it at 104 instead of 107. That said, once we get into the race, usually people kind of spread out a little bit more than you would see even in real life F1. We have seen quite a few people go a lap down. And of course, there's a bit of a gentleman's agreement between all the racers. If you are going that slow, if you are having that much of a hard time, most of the time people will retire from the race. They do as many laps as they can, and then at some point you do see a bit of camaraderie in that, and you do gain a lot of respect amongst your peers if you do kind of take it on yourself that, okay, you're a little too slow, it's time to maybe get out of the way. We have less than a minute left in warm-up. The race will be getting underway here very shortly. As the drivers prepare, Craig Baxter looking, he's ready in the garage, as Scott Davison right now in the blue standard car. Everybody kind of rolling around the track. At this point, Sergio Perez will be taking the pole. I have to admit, that is a very nice livery. Take a very short break. We'll have the race here very shortly. as the drivers get underway in their warm-up lap. I should rephrase that. Their formation lap. Gonna warm the tires up, warm up the brakes, make sure the engines are running. Oh, so sweet. Sergey Harass will take the pole. But Craig Baxter, second place. Couldn't quite nab that. I mean, barely missing it. Phil Kraus, third. Kieran Chadwick taking fourth and running out the second row as Scott Davison and Sam Carpenter starting behind them. Brandon O'Henlin and Mac Shepard making up the fourth row as Noah Chilla and Matthew Klipp rounding out the top 10. Good showings from them in qualifying. Noah Chilla, Matthew Klipp will be looking to gain some positions, I believe. It will be starting on different tires as we take a look at Noah. Yep, Noah running the softs, it looks like. The super softs, I should say. Chukapaka Lalu and Liam Mangan. Liam, the other Defiance car, running strong, 12th place. A good set for him. Nick Brackey and Max Lister, 13th and 14th. And we have Evan Rice and Danov Branthome. Danov used to be on the Zesty squad. Now he's on the FAP Racers setup. Terrible team name, but a fantastic livery, I have to admit. And Richard Taylor, a newcomer. Haven't seen him on the grid yet. And R2 Nieminen in the royal blue, rounding out the field in 18th place. R2 has been struggling with the car as of late, but is starting to figure some things out here. He has made the cut this race. I don't believe he was able to make it for Monaco. Now, Sergi has made it to his starting box as we wait for the 5 red lights. And they're underway. The scramble for turn 1 is on. Sergi Raz making it cleanly through. We're going to have a look at the midfield here. Bit of a scramble back there. We take a look at Matthew Klipp in 10th place. Currently holding strong. Under pressure. Looks like Liam has actually jumped quite a few positions into 9th place. Not bad. If you take a look back at the leaders, Sergi coming through Parabolica. Little bit of a race happening behind him. Phil Kraus, Kieran Chadwick, and Sam Carpenter jockeying for position. Kieran slotting himself into 4th. Still a little bit side-by-side action here between Sam Carpenter and Kieran Chadwick as they make their way into the first horseshoe, if you will. Mercedes corner. Not very treacherous, but there's a little bit of a bump on the exit. And it looks like Sam Carpenter will slot into 4th place. Kieran Chadwick hot on his heels, though. Now through Sachs. Looking very tidy now, as everybody seems to have lined up in single file to try to get through the first lap. Oh, a little bit of mess up there. We're actually watching Scott. Oh, a big spin. Evan Rice is into the wall. Looks like he was able to save the car. He's probably going to have a little bit of damage. We'll go on board to have a look at how he's doing here. Car's still running very straight. Might have a little bit more tire wear. Tire wear, it will be an issue here as he will round out the field and completing lap 1. Everybody has completed lap 1. We were expecting some shenanigans there, at least turn 1, possibly into turn 2. But no, we go back to the leaders. Sergi. Not a commanding lead yet, as Craig Baxter trying to chase him down. Craig will probably let him go for a little while, as they are both on the Ultra Softs. No reason to get really excited here. Noah Chilla challenging for 8th place. Mac Shepard under threat at this point. Mac can keep it pretty clean here, but looks like Noah has the advantage with the slipstream, and Mac might just be in some dirty air at this point. They're making their way around here for lap 2. 47 laps here today at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix. Just kind of going through chat here. Hello, everyone. Yes, I will be attempting to read chat as much as I can. Hello, 3Tech. Good to see you. As we're watching this battle here, fantastic battle here for Noah Chilla getting around Mac Shepard. Sometimes you just have to let the racing do the talking for itself. Going up to the front, Phil Kraus still kind of nipping at the heels here of Craig Baxter, but Sergi Harass starting to gap the field a little bit. Seeing some jockeying here towards the rear of the field. Nick Brackey, Max Lister hotting up just a little bit. Everybody's still pretty tight back here. Making their way through Sachs. R2 Niminen from last place ends up 16th. Evan Rice did have that big spin, and Richard Taylor is passed at this point. Max Lister trying to gain a little bit of time here on Den of Branthome. Still very early goings in this battle, but up at the front, Kieran Chadwick in 5th place. Starting to smell the gearbox oil of Sam Carpenter. Liam challenging. Big moves happening there at the hairpin. Liam on the grass, saves it nicely. On the softs, too. Going for the long run here. He's going to have to make sure he can get the grip. He might just be passed here by Scott Davison, but not quite. Liam happens to be running a slightly modified setup of Craig Baxter. So he's very confident in the car. He's just going to have to make sure that he does not run off the track there in the softs, trying to push him a little bit too hard. Going to have to go for the endurance run here. Try to last as long as he can on the regular softs. Hopefully he can make up the positions in tire strategy. The DRS should be enabled this time around, as Kieran Chadwick beginning to challenge Sam Carpenter here. They're going to spread out here as they make their way through Parabolica. Everyone in the chat, if you have any questions or know of a race going on here, as might see a bit of a challenge here outside of the hairpin. Not going to work there for Kieran Chadwick, as Liam challenging Scott Davison again through the hairpin. Trying to cut under. Instead, he will get the draft. That's a very American term, isn't it? Through Mercedes now. Nice and tidy. I am impressed by Liam and his progression while learning this mod in this car. Has been showing a lot of pace as of late, and Liam is attempting to kind of show that he belongs in this particular series. Does like to hang out in the voice chat for the races. Something that we all kind of do. You can see a battle hotting up behind him though. Kieran Chadwick though still all over Sam Carpenter. Once again through Parabolica. Sam trying to dive a little bit. There's a challenge. Nabs the inside. Sam looking to go under him. Little bit of a tire spin. That might work though. Chadwick up into 5th. No. Sam passes him right back. Looks like my scoring program did not quite update as fast as possible. Fast as I thought it would, as Sam Carpenter slots into 4th place at this point. Oh, off the track. Ben O'Henlin now all over the gearbox here of Kieran. that ground made up there by Kieran Chadwick just messed up there as he got into the grass. I believe that was coming out of the Mercedes complex, turn 10. Usually the rallycross route, not the way you want to go. Usually. They make their way out of turn 4, O'Henlin. He should have DRS, and he does. He's going to close up the gap here. On the inside, though, is Chadwick. Completely legal move there. They're side by side down the drag race. Coming into 7. O'Henlin looking racy. Decides not to dive. A little bit of a lockup from both of them. That exit, though, by Chadwick, that was insanity coming out of turn 10. Now through Sachs. Single file through here. 13, 14, here's 15. Let's go ahead and go on board with Brandon O'Henlin as Craig Baxter, we're monitoring. Starting to get a little bit of a catch up there on Sergi. Just going to give you an idea as to what it's like to drive this track during the race. Nearly 300 kilometers an hour into turn 2. DRS enabled. Should be parabolic. Look at him catch up. Slamming those brakes hard as they hit hairpin. O'Henlin doesn't quite have the launch, it looks like. He's coming out of the slower corners. He has got these faster corners absolutely nailed. Turn 10. Set up for Mobile 1 and into Sachs. Looks like O'Henlin a little bit faster on the braking. Seems to be a little bit smoother. Than his competitor there in Kieran Chadwick, but Craig Baxter's really starting to catch up on Sergi. We might see a little bit of pass diving down to the inside of the pit lane there. Looking around, trying to fill the mirrors here of Sergi. Let's go ahead and go on board with him. Helmet cam. Mixing things up a little bit here with the cams. Through DRS, Sergi's just going to let him by. Craig Baxter into the lead. Sergi electing to go behind Baxter at this point. Doesn't look like he wants to race much. Baxter trying to break the slipstream. Wants to put a gap on Sergi. Fantastic race for the lead here. I'll be honest with you, I am not quite sure how long these ultras are going to last. Wasn't expecting to see them on the tire list. We're kind of expecting to see some medium tire action here today, but unfortunately the stewards, well, they guess they decided not to run them. Didn't exactly get the whole story on that. I have to admit, though, I do like the mix-up. Let's throw the drivers a bit of a curveball, make it a little bit different for them. Brandon O'Henlin and Kieran Chadwick starting to hot up again. Let's take a look here. Scott Davison, Mac Shepard, and Noah Chilla. A little bit grouped up here. Noah holding his line. Mac on around the outside. Couldn't quite make it stick there. I think Davison... Yeah, that was Davison, I'm sorry. Still trying to chase down Noah Chillas. Sergi Harass. Looking very, very racy. Still kind of keeping pace here with Craig Baxter. think Sergi would want to burn the fuel out, but he is so smooth behind the wheel. I don't know if anybody's seen this guy drive yet, but my goodness. I think he might have backed off the fuel a touch. He realized he couldn't put really much of a gap on Baxter. So he decided to back off a touch, save some fuel for the end, and I like the idea. 37 laps to go now. We should be seeing these cars start to get a little bit squirrely, especially the ones on the Ultra Softs. They might be hitting their second life, although we might have a pass here for the lead. Sergi driving around Baxter, just cranking the fuel up and using the DRS to his advantage. Doesn't get a great exit, though. Baxter not able to take advantage of the slightly outward angle of Sergi's exit out of the hairpin. So coming into Mercedes, it will be Sergi, Craig Baxter, Phil Kraus, Sam Carpenter in fourth, and Brandon O'Henlin in fifth place with Kieran Chadwick breathing down his neck. Carpenter and Kraus, the teammates. Carpenter on the, looks like the Super Softs. Yeah, he is on the Supers. As well as his teammate, actually, Phil Kraus on the Supers as well. They'll be looking to take the lead once Baxter and Sergi make their way into the pits, as they're starting to space out just a little bit. Seems like everybody is. Looks like there was a bit of a problem here as Danov Brantham finds himself under attack. Kieran Chadwick driving right around him. Jukka-Pekka Laulu. Haven't seen that name in a little while here as we go 3 wide. Danov on the outside, no touch. Chadwick still holding line as Jukka-Pekka looking to the inside. No, he's going to go single file. This is for 10th place in the last points. Kieran sitting in 9th. Doesn't look like he's going to be under much pressure here from Danov as Kieran's starting to drive away in the ZestyOranges car, trying to make up some positions as Baxter and Sergi duking it out. Wait, where did Sergi go? Sergi ended up 5th place. Ah, he's got a pit. Okay, let's see what he goes on to here. He will be going on regular soft from ultra to regular, down to 6th now. He will come out of the pits in 7th place. The tires not holding up for him. Decided to go ahead and change them. Maybe go for a little bit of a longer run here on softs. This could be the one stop that I was talking about a little bit earlier in the broadcast. As Sergi looking to make a pass here on Matthew Klipp. Klipp having a fantastic race here. Showing himself in 8th place. Not bad. As, again, Kraus and Carpenter in the Sabres. Just kind of following Baxter around. A good move by him, but we'll be keeping an eye on Sergi as he makes his way through the middle of the top 10. And it looks like there's a bit of a race hotting up here as Liam, Nick Brackey, Max Lister, a little bit grouped up here, as well as Jukka-Pekka. Fighting it out for 10th place. We'll be keeping an eye on that battle as well. Sergi. Max Shepard diving into the pits here. Now Sergi's got some open air. He'll be able to open it up a little bit with Kieran Chadwick behind him. As we're seeing a lot of pit stops now. Richard Taylor has DNF'd. Fortunately there, looks like Phil Kraus whipping up on Baxter here, making his way through the hairpin. Kraus likes to talk a big game. Makes a lot of jokes. Good to have around. Gets a little bit of a hothead. Very competitive individual. But he will race you clean. There's a lot of respect on the track. as you can see here, once we get into the windy bits, Baxter really opens up the gap. Scott Davison has decided to take third place and back off a little bit. Looking for Sam Carpenter. Carpenter lost positions. Where are we at? Trying to go through my deal here. Liam went into the pits as well. A lot of drivers diving into the pits. Phil Kraus now assuming the lead as Baxter goes into the pits. He's on the softs now as well. Obviously, when we have a broadcaster and two commentators, we can kind of keep track of this stuff. But, oh, a bit of a touch there. Carpenter and Baxter getting into each other a little bit. That looks like Lalu behind him. Yes, it is. Battle hotting up here for fourth place. Baxter trying to get by Carpenter. Oh, Carpenter made a big error. He's going to lose 2 positions, nearly losing it, getting back on the track, and he manages to keep it underway. And on the soft tires he goes. He's going to have to calm down just a little bit here. Chadwick assuming third place now. Onto the softs they go. Slots in behind Sergi. And we should note that Phil Kraus is now in the pits. He'll be falling down the order a touch. Let's see where he comes out. Baxter gaining on him. Baxter passed. That's O'Hanlon. And there's his teammate. Kraus slotting in behind Sam Carpenter's teammate in 6th place, losing 6 positions from here. As the undercut for Sergi ended up working out beautifully for him. To running order with 32 laps to go. Sergi Arras, Kieran Chadwick, Craig Baxter, Brandon O'Hanlon, Sam Carpenter, and Phil Kraus falling very closely, with Jukapeka Lalu off into the distance a little bit, as Scott Davison and Max Lister rounding out the top 10 in what looks to be quite the battle, I should say. As the Royal Blue of Noah Chilla lurking, waiting for a mistake and ready to pounce, it seems. Baxter teammate Liam Mangan. No, I never asked him how to actually properly pronounce his surname there. Liam's tire should be going out here. Actually, no, he has pitted. He went ahead and went on the super softs. Looks like he'll be trying to gain some time. Hopefully, he can get into the points. Trying to help out his teammate a little bit in the championship battle, but battle for 4th rages on. O'Hanlon, Carpenter, and Kraus still going toe to toe to toe. To toe to toe to toe. Yes. They are starting to get pretty close to Baxter as well. Baxter might be backing off just a little bit, letting Sergi and Chadwick kind of duke it out. We're not used to seeing Baxter in a 3rd place, although he made a fantastic run. I believe it was Canada last season. Ended up having a problem qualifying. Had to start from the back of the pack. I believe it was a problem in qualifying. He might have had a penalty. But to start from the back of the pack, ended up running all the way through the field and winning that race. As everything has kind of quieted down a little bit. We've reached that midpoint in the race where everybody will be saving a little bit of fuel, trying to save their tires. We are expecting another stop, though. It looks like Carpenter might be making a move here on O'Hanlon, just trying to fill the mirrors. Almost all the drivers do run virtual mirrors to make sure they know where everyone is at. Obviously, headsets and good sound systems do come in handy. You want to make sure you know exactly where your competitors are when they are trying to pass you. You don't want to be that guy. or cut in on someone or something like that. But usually, when you're trying to make a pass, especially here in rFactor 2, you don't get any markers, obviously. It's very sim, extremely sim. You don't get any markers, you don't get any lines, you don't get anything. You have to go off of your senses. And all you have are your eyes and your ears. Figure out who is around you. And most of the time, you don't really have a surround sound setup. So, rely on your mirrors as much as you can, and make sure you don't cut in on someone, because it's a defeating feeling. I've been there. It happens. Hello, Smoking Puppy. How are you? I am periodically checking chat, so of course, for anybody who is new here in the stream, please post a question, say hi. We'll be taking analysis from there too. Obviously, I'll be modding that as much as possible. Taking a look at the field here. Of course, it's kind of tough to really kind of query where exactly everyone is in relation to one another, as everybody kind of groups up around the hairpin, gets very close to each other. But the race has kind of died down. Kieran Chadwick having the race of his life right now, though. Maybe that's the secret for the ZestyOranges car. Or for the Zesty Racings, I should say. Zesty Racing this weekend. They're not all oranges this time out. So, this season, Zesty Racing. Maybe we should just keep their owner out of the commentary box. Zach. He said, trying to give Zach a hard time when he's not here. Can't defend himself. God, what a guy, huh? So this run here, second place here for Kieran Chadwick. We'll probably be looking at a potential for third. It all depends on how Craig Baxter is able to figure his way around his pit strategy. I believe Chadwick did pit before Baxter. So Baxter probably trying to save his tires as much as he can, while sort of being on attack here from Brandon O'Henlin. Speaking of O'Henlin, the German, running very well. Thrive Vulcan looking very nice right now. Very tidy. Let's go ahead and have a look on board. I like studies the track. I think this kind of being as a home race, I'd be very familiar with Hockenheim. Just flipping inside there of turn 1, cranking it all the way up, nearly hitting 300 kilometers an hour. Out of turn 4, just kind of shooting down onto the parabolic guy. I don't believe he's going to have DRS at this point. Yeah, no, he is close enough to have it. Yeah, so he'll kind of catch up to Baxter at this point, as Kieran Chadwick starting to get pretty close to Sergi. We have a race for 10th. Danov Brantham has made the pass. Juka-Pekka dropping to 12th. Max Lister comes out of the pits for 14th place for him. Not bad for him. Liam challenging Danov. Trying to get around him for 10th place. He'll be sitting in the points. I believe that will be his first points finish if he can stay in. See where he's at. Stay in 10th place. Yeah, that will be his first points position. He's only raced the 2 races. Might as well be the hardest races on the calendar. As we move up the field, looking at second place, Kieran Chadwick. Filling the mirrors there of Sergi. pit strategy coming into play at this point. I don't think anybody's really going to take any risky maneuvers here. Possibly just let the tire strategy work out. I believe Chadwick should know that Sergi will need to come in sooner than him. So if you want to save those tires, maybe save the fuel. And then once Sergi dives into the pits, you crank that fuel up. You start running as hard as you can for a couple of laps. Run those tires down, and hopefully you've gapped him enough that the undercut does not work. The same is going to go for Baxter, but Baxter and including Hockenheim on this one, they are a little bit farther behind. But if they can get as close as they can once they come out of the pits to Sergi, they might be able to challenge for the lead here. And I think we can include Philip Kraus on that one. The top 5 potentially in this race could be the winners. We'll have to see what happens here in the next 25 laps. We've just about hit halfway through here very soon. Here at the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim here for rFactor 2. This race usually starts up the weekend here at AOR. As tomorrow will be a ton of F1 esports action. For those who do watch the F1 streams, myself and Austin Knight, who is in the chat, hello to the other half of the F1 America's Dream Team. We do have an American League this season. For those who have F1 2018 and would like to race, I believe there should be some spots open. Check out the website, of course, apexonlineracing.com for all the info and how to get into those races. We'll have to double check that, as we have had a few no-shows as of late, but show interest and we might be able to open up another tier for America. That includes Canada. We have seen a variety of other nationalities in that one. If you'd like to participate, of course, join up on the website. Say hi. We're all pretty friendly. Generally. When we're not racing. Very competitive, of course. For those that are in the know, which is like 2 of you guys, this stream is not run by the Elgato Stream Deck. Unfortunately, with rFactor 2, it is very tough to run it on just a few buttons. We do have our own proprietary programs to bring you these fantastic camera angles and things of that nature, but F1 America is powered by the Elgato Stream Deck, as well as all of the console action captured by Elgato, bringing you all of that action indeed. Many of the drivers also using Thrustmaster steering setups. Ooh, just a little bit messed up there by Kieran Chadwick. Gotta be perfect when you're chasing Sergi. Sergi gaining a little time there. Philip Kraus starting to gain a little time on Hockenheim. It looks like Danov Branthome starting to gain some time here on Liam. Of course, we always have to mention Hype Energy drinks. Unfortunately, here on the California coast, we do not have Hype Energy in the area, but of course, once I get a little bit of money together, I do want to order some in. Give it a try. Supposed to be very, very good. For those that have tried Hype Energy, please say hi in the chat. Tell us what you think. Get him to send it to America, dang it. I don't know him. That's starting to get very close here to Phil Kraus. Kraus starting to kind of dice the track up a little bit more than Hockenheim. Hockenheim's so smooth. Trying to save those tires. And Chadwick starting to get a little closer to Sergi. Sergi's tires should be starting to go away at this point. There is a second life in these softs. They start to get a little warm and then start to lose a little grip. And then you kind of begin to come back as they start to cool off. You realize just how hard you're running these tires. Very small window. That's getting very close here. Chadwick might be challenging for the lead here very quickly. The hairpin. I predict the hairpin. There opens the letterbox. Towards the inside, Sergi will hold his line. Way deep on the inside is Kieran Chadwick, and into the lead. Zesty Racing take the lead from Sergi Esports as Baxter now hunting down. Sergi really dying off at this point. The softs aren't quite holding up, I don't think, as much as these drivers thought. And I'll be honest, I thought they would hold up another 5 laps or so, but Sergi sat in the lead for a very long time, and now Kieran Chadwick, Zesty Racing in the lead. I can't believe it, and Zach Jones is nowhere to be found. We found the secret, boys. Kieran with absolutely no pressure on him. Still, this top 5 very close to each other. Take a look at the live timing. Within 4 seconds is the top 5 generally. Obviously that floats around a little bit as Sergi looking like he might be under pressure here from Craig Baxter. Baxter diving on the inside. A bit of a lock up there. Oh, inside of Sergi, just barely enough room. Fit a credit card through the 2 cars, but they managed to make it work. Oop, that's not the camera one. I wanted this camera. Baxter actually took 2nd place. We missed it because I hit the wrong button. Oh, I'm so good at this. That's what I get for experimenting. Sergi Harass has fallen from the lead to 3rd place and possibly into the clutches of Philip Kraus. Now, Chadwick and Baxter are going to crank up those engines, start to really push those cars to try to gap the very quick and very talented, I might add, Sergi Harass. Really starting to get a lot of respect on the track. His first race out, there was some banter back and forth between the established veterans of this league and Sergi Harass, but Sergi really holding his own. Never really seemed to get angry or anything, but a couple of mean posts here and there. Eventually, after probably about the 2nd race, the memery stopped and people started putting their heads down to really learn this mod. And Sergi has really shown a lot of promise. I am impressed. It's taken me a couple of races to really watch him come through, and I have been critical in the past. I have to admit, I have been kind of critical. A couple of sloppy passes, shall we call it that? Really kind of on the part of both the veterans as well as Sergi, but Sergi really holding his own. He's come out to be very, very quick. Sergi has taken a win here in the 2nd race of the season. Very fast at Bahrain. And, I mean, 3 2nd places to his credit. I mean, can't really doubt that. But now Philip Kraus looking to potentially nab it here. It's that one. Kraus right around him. Oh, Sergi, great braking angle. He might be able to cut it on the inside here. Not gonna work. Kraus will nail down 3rd place as Kieran Chadwick now challenging Craig Baxter for the lead. Baxter takes the lead after we were watching Sergi and Philip Kraus battle for 3rd, and now Kieran Chadwick finds himself in 2nd place behind, well, the championship leader. Now Chadwick diving into the pits. He'll be the first of this group. Let's see what he goes on. We'll go ahead and watch him come through the pits, falling down the order just a touch. Chadwick. Great camera angle. Right back on the softs. So 18 laps left. We'll go back onto the softs as he will fall to 5th now. Make that 6. Scott Davison going to get around him. Now, Chadwick going to possibly crank up the wick while he makes his way back up to the front. Not too many races going on in the backfield at the moment. Philip Kraus, Craig Baxter here, and Sergi still keeping track of these two. Should be seeing pit stops from them very soon. Obviously going to keep an eye on Chadwick in 6th now. Scott Davison now involved in this battle in some form. But I have a feeling that Chadwick might not be able to, as the Defiance car comes into the pits now. What will Baxter come out on? Baxter grabbing another set of softs. He'll be coming out here. That will be 4th place. Chadwick manages to get around Scott Davison. Scott was in the pits when Baxter was in here. At least I believe that's him. Davison will fall to 7th. O'Henlon's still in 6th. But O'Henlon has pitted. So the top 7 have now pitted. Evan Rice has been in twice, as well as Liam and Danove. But I believe there may have been a little bit of damage there from their battling. Now Kraus finds himself in the lead, with Sergi tracking him down. Now Sergi is the one to watch when it comes to tire wear. He can make these tires last forever. I don't think these are going to last another 17 laps. I really don't. But knowing Sergi, he might give it a try. As now Kraus dives into the pits. It will be Sergi assuming the lead at this point. Nails it down to the pit limiter. We'll see what Kraus comes out to. Have a look at Sergi. Now he has DRS enabled, at least for that zone. That's Kraus. Oops, that's Chadwick. Kraus out now. Oh, he grabs Super Softs. Okay, Super Softs for 16 laps. Comes out behind Craig Baxter. Baxter now on the fresh rubber run softs as well. Yes, there he is. Okay, the top 4 have now locked in their strategy. This will be the one, as Kraus is going to go right around Baxter. Baxter has the inside, though. Maybe not. Baxter giving plenty of room here. There's a massive sleeping policeman right there, as Baxter will probably keep this. No! Kraus makes it work. Kraus is going to let him go, though. Baxter did have the racing line, and the track does narrow there, so you do kind of want to give a little bit of room there. And Kraus, not confident in the tires yet. Not enough warmth, I believe, as Kraus was challenging there, but Baxter just slammed the hammer down, wanting to stay in 3rd place. Now, Sergi, he will go into the pits now. Oh, I think he made it. That would be devastating if he ends up with a penalty. Let's see where he ends up. On to the supers. Okay. Chadwick will pass him. There goes Baxter and Kraus. Carpenter just crossing the finish line. It looks like Sergi will nab 4th from here, as there is a lapped car right there. I believe that is R2 Niminen. Kraus challenging Baxter again. Will go on board. Manages to make it work. Baxter now can't quite challenge him through the hairpin. But he'll challenge him here. Through Mercedes. Oh, a little bit of a touch. Just a little. Could have been server lag. Hard to tell. Baxter looks like he's got the run down the straightaway. He's going to nab the inside here. But if Kraus can keep where he's at, he will have the inside line. Yes, he does. And Baxter has to let him go. Don't really see that too often, but that was a very clean pass. A good battle brewing up here between 2nd and 3rd place, but they need to put their heads down to try to catch Kieran Chadwick, because Chadwick in the lead. His first win of the season. He can taste it at this point with 14 to go. Guys in the chat, what a race for the lead, I have to admit. I was not expecting this. I was kind of expecting either Baxter or Sergi to kind of run away with it, but Sergi, speaking of which, starting to loom in the distance there. As both Kraus and Baxter still kind of battling here. They need to line up to try to make a challenge for the lead if they want to do that. But of course, this one is for points. Now, I don't know if Baxter is confident enough in his car at this point to potentially go for Kraus's position, but Kraus looking very racy. Granted, he is on the super soft now. He's got to be careful not to burn those tires up, but I think Baxter would want to just kind of hang back and relax. Maybe let Kraus catch Chadwick, let them start battling, then catch them a little bit later. And so with 13 laps to go, that could be the strategy here going through Baxter's mind. He also has DRS. He's able to save some fuel. Maybe force his way into the battle for the lead. Now, Sergi, of course, looming in the distance, but I believe he is too far away to make anything happen here when it comes down to DRS. But speaking of DRS, Kraus now on the inside for the hairpin. Right around Chadwick, but Chadwick might challenge. No, Chadwick will let him go. It's Kraus betting on those tires, lasting another 13 laps. He has to make sure he does not burn those things up, and he might have burned a lot of fuel, though. Trying to find the lead here. Kraus looking for his first win of the season, and I believe of, well, since the inception of AOR's RF2 series. Now, back where this series came from, I unfortunately don't have the history on his finishes. I do know that Baxter usually kind of dominated that with Chadwick and the likes of Scott Davison and like a Danove Brantham, unfortunately, who is way back. Kind of challenging for the lead or for race wins, but Kraus looking mighty here in Germany. As we see Baxter coming through to challenge Chadwick. He's kind of filling the mirrors, could not finish out the pass there. Baxter down on the inside. Ooh, locks him up just a little bit. Not going to be able to make that pass there. Chadwick holding strong. That's not the angle I wanted. That's the angle I wanted. There we are. Yeah, that looks cool. Unfortunately, I can't change cameras and drivers at the same time. The view from Baxter. DRS enabled at this point. Chadwick did not open his DRS. You know, right there. That's where it should have been open. As Baxter gains a ton of time now through Parabolica. This could be where Baxter decides to make a bit of a pass here. Slipstream and the letterbox open. Can he make it stick? Does, up the inside. Chadwick still looming. Might let him go this time out, though. Looks like he will, as Craig Baxter slots himself into second place. Sergi Harass still back there, still looming. We'll have 10 to go this time by, but Philip Kraus looking very strong at this point. Has the gap. 1.3 seconds. Right about when they cross the line. I think Baxter will have DRS at this point. No, he will not. Chadwick will. This is pretty much the best battle on the track at this point. As Chadwick looking to the inside, just kind of filling mirrors, not really challenging for anything. I think Baxter's kind of ignoring him at this point. That's exactly what Baxter needs to do. Work the psychology. Make sure you nail your lines. Baxter covering the track as best as he can while still keeping his speed up, and Chadwick will not make a move unless he can be sure that it will work, and that's probably going to come in one of the DRS zones. Baxter knows this. Baxter knows that if Chadwick is nowhere near close enough, Chadwick will race you clean. Could be an advantage, could be a disadvantage. Definitely gives you a lot of respect amongst your competitors for sure. Chadwick might have to turn up the heat a little bit. I don't know exactly how much fuel he has on board though, so there is a possibility that Chadwick may not be able to catch Baxter, but he's got 9 laps to do it. Take a look here in the backfield. The other Zesty racing vehicle trying to take on Liam Mangan. Liam still searching for Nick Brackey, who's actually slotted into 10th place. And we are seeing those are ultra softs on for Max Lister. Wasn't expecting that. Is Liam on the softs again? Back up to the front. Still searching. You can see Phil Kraus has gained a bit of a gap here. Opened up that lead to about 2 seconds. Now Kraus will need to start saving fuel just a touch, just to make sure that he can get to the end of the race, as we are 8 to go this time by. Alright, you guys in the chat. Got 8 laps to go here at Hockenheim. That's not a lot of time. 2 questions for you. Number 1, can Kieran Chadwick pass Craig Baxter for 2nd place? The other question, can Baxter catch Phil Kraus and pass for the lead? And then question 3, of course, Sergey Raz looming there in 3rd place, just waiting for a mistake and ready to pounce. Can he catch the leaders? Now, some information here. Sergey has pitted twice, but no, he is actually on the softer compound compared to Kieran here. Now, Kieran, that could be working against him a little bit here. Baxter also on the soft, and Philip Kraus on the ultra soft. He's starting to get a little bit mixed up there on his favorite sausage there. Inside joke. Chadwick, pretty much the only one threatening for position at this point. Everybody else is kind of spread out. That's kind of what Hockenheim does. It really does. You know, it forces drivers to sort of spread out a touch. You do need as much downforce as you can get while still keeping your speed up here, especially for sections like Parabolica. When you get up into, say, Mercedes or Sachs, usually the downforce is turned up a little bit more. And the best drivers in the league can work their fuel strategy to maximize their savings while still using as much fuel as possible down the faster parts of this more challenging than it looks track here at Hockenheim. This will be 6 to go. Still so many questions. Amy Chocolate Cake. Sick emote. I like it. We have had 4 retirees. Evan Rice is retired. Sam Carpenter is out. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see what happened there. Noah Chilla is out, and Richard Taylor is actually out as well. Richard Taylor starting towards the back of the field, unfortunately for him. Looks like Carpenter must have had an incident. He was challenging for a top spot. We'll have to figure out what happened there. Kind of cycling through the various chats. Richard Taylor actually has a DSC. Apparently this is his first time. That does happen from time to time, unfortunately, with rFactor. Like Jukapeka Lalu, yeah, does manage to pass Matthew Clip there through Parabolica. This is for points. That's the battle for 8th. Clip. Running the VD Sport livery. God, that is a beautiful livery. Well done, whoever made that Vitesse design. Oh, clipping the inside. Oh, that's not good. Matthew Clip managed to keep it out of the gravel, though. Hopefully he doesn't have a lot of damage to that. There might be some floor damage after taking a ride. Manages to keep it going. Let's go have a look here at Chadwick and Baxter again. Baxter has opened up the gap a little bit. It's getting pretty comfortable here with 4 to go. Trying to figure out what happened here. Nobody is responding. If anybody has anything, I crashed. Oh, Sam, that's that. Yeah. Turn 1 can be very tricky. Here, yeah. I'll just read the comment out for those listening. Just crashed. This is from Sam Carpenter. I quote, "I just crashed on the exit of turn 1, pushing to catch Sergi. I would have been in the running for top 4, but Craig and Kieran are probably out of the question. So angry at myself because I was so slow all day and managed to somehow managed to crash when I've never done that before." Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of how it goes sometimes, unfortunately, Sam. I hate to hear that because you were looking very, very strong. Sam Carpenter looking super good here, looking at a top 4, easily top 5. But to be honest with you, Sergi has actually kind of died out. Let's have a look at him. Those tires, I don't think, are holding up as well as he thought, unless he's been saving them for right about now. He needs to, because 3 laps to go. If he wants to start gaining positions, he's going to have to catch Kieran. And Chadwick, who has been looking pretty good all day. That's a good one now. Well, that's definitely not one. There it is. Mental note. Anyways, right. Chadwick has been looking pretty strong all day, but he has been kind of slowing down the last few laps. Sergi starting to catch him, and I think Sergi could be looking at a podium. Would be a pretty good save for him, all considered. Is it right that Chadwick still has to pit, starting on softs and pitted for softs then? No, Chadwick has pitted twice. I believe Chadwick has actually started on the Ultra Softs, if I remember correctly. Went in 4 softs and came back in and got another set of softs. That said, Sergi is the one on the Ultra Softs. So I'm surprised that they've lasted this long, though with 2 laps left, he's going to have to make him last this long, obviously. I shouldn't be surprised because it is Sergi Harass. He's shown an ability to manage tires so well. I don't know if you guys have actually seen him from his cockpit view. No, that's a good question. But no mistake there. That's a great question, and the kind of questions I like to see. Speaking of Sergi, we're starting to catch up here. Chadwick defending on the inside. A little bit of a front end slide there. Gonna cut in. Fourth gear. Good God. Fourth gear for Mercedes. Most people are taking that third, and I think Sergi's kind of giving up on the launch. Sixth gear for that. That should probably be about fifth. Grabs third there for Sachs. That's probably about right. Let's see how smooth Sergi is. Very calculated. Correct me if I'm wrong, the ultimate corner and the final corner should be taken. Most people take that in about 5th gear. In fact, just to kind of get an idea. Uh-oh, Baxter challenging for the lead here. Speaking of which, the last lap is underway. Baxter looking for the pass on Kraus. The drag race through Parabolica. Kraus has to dive in behind Craig Baxter. Baxter on the last lap taking the lead, but Kraus not going to have any of that as we move in to just about the last half of this lap. Oops, no, I wanted Kraus. Give me Kraus. There he is. There's the Saber. Rattling all over the track. Trying to chase down Baxter. Last lap, the final lap here at the German Grand Prix. And it hots up as Baxter takes off. He's been saving fuel this whole time. Craig Baxter, what a genius. Saves the tires, saves the fuel, and Philip Kraus could not make it work. Craig Baxter coming down the front stretch to take the win. A well-fought victory here for Craig Baxter. Philip Kraus slotting into 2nd place. Kieran Chadwick, a well-fought 3rd place. Well done there by the Zesty Racing vehicle, as Sergi Harass ends up in 4th place. O'Henlin, 5th place. Looks like Max Shepard, Matthew Klipp, a big race there by Max Shepard, getting way sideways coming out of the hairpin. A 4-way battle here for what looks like 7th place, now 8th. Nick Brackey, all up in the business. On the Ultra Softs, I'm surprised those tires have held up. Only 2 stops. He manages to make it work. He could be finishing in 8th place here for Nick Brackey as Matthew Klipp and Max Shepard hot on his heels. But a huge win here for Craig Baxter. Manages to sneak one out. I can't believe he actually made that work. Well done. Nick Brackey, though, might be able to hold on here for 8th place. A huge finish for him. Matthew Klipp in the VD Sport Machine also holds on as Max Shepard nabs 10th place, had 8th in the bag, could not make it work. Juka-Pekka Lalu also grabbing 7th place. Well done to the top 10, and well done everyone. A fantastic race indeed. Right there up to the end, the strategy coming through hot and heavy. But Craig Baxter, you gonna do some donuts? Or did we miss the donuts? No, we're gonna get the lineup. It'll be Craig Baxter. Strategy battle with Philip Kraus. Turning the wheel. A little bit of frustration there probably, but my goodness, what a great race. As Kieran Chadwick decided to go right back to the pits. We're gonna go to a very short break. I will be looking for interviews. Stay tuned.
breaking these walls, things to come and disappear.
Right. Welcome in, guys. What a race. Fantastic race. We do have Phil Kraus, our second place finisher, ready for interview. I'll drag him in here just a second. Mr. Kraus. Hello. Doing well, man. A bit frustrating there at the end there. I totally thought you had that in the bag, honestly.
So I couldn't defend against someone who had better tires and quality boost. It was a risk to go on supers that early, but it's the only chance to win, so you know, gotta risk it for a biscuit.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a honestly though, seriously, well fought second place. In my opinion, I thought you deserved the win, but you got to be there at the end, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean the supers. You mentioned risking it for the biscuit. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic strategy decision to go for it. What do you think? Maybe a lap, 2 laps early on that?
I mean, if I had pitted a lap later, I would have never gotten up to Craig and Kieran. They would have been able to defend it because the best part of the tire would have already been gone by the time I got to them. I had to pit then. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I just should have saved a bit more once I got the lead.
And by save, you're talking fuel, I assume.
No, tires.
Tires, okay.
I didn't have a quality boost button mapped. Well, I had one mapped, but I couldn't unmap it, and the engine would have died if I was on quality boost for the whole last lap.
It was getting that close, I take it, with the just through the engine wear, or
you can only use the quality boost a certain amount of times in the race, and it's usually for like 3 straights. And I had most of the lap left. There was no way it was going to happen.
Fair enough. Bit of insight there from Phil. Dude, honestly, what a race, though. I mean, come on. Big ol' smile under that helmet, right?
Not really, because I didn't win the race.
Oh, come on.
What's there to be happy about when you lose the lead on the last lap?
Well, it was entertaining. Let's put it that way. Put it on a heck of a race. I mean, I'm congratulating you.
I'm not here to put on races. I'm here to win races.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you for coming on in for the interview. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Later. Have a good one.
Yep. Have a good one. We're just waiting on Craig to jump in here. Well, there he is. Mr. Baxter.
Hello.
Hello. Bit of a stalking second place run there for a little while, huh?
I did not think I was getting Phil at all. He got past me, and I don't know if you caught it, but we were battling really, really hard. And I was like, screw it. If I keep battling, people behind are going to catch up. I was like, go get Kieran, and then I'll try tag along. So somehow his tires fell off, and I managed to get close on the last lap.
Yeah, he mentioned that he wasn't able to use quality boost as much, and yeah, that plus the tires, it's just it was a Hail Mary to go for that strategy, and it just barely didn't work. His words, basically. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I mean, pretty much Mr. Consistency with yourself when it comes to the way you're running the track. It kind of just seemed like you were sort of lying in wait there, second place, until literally the last lap. I was kind of expecting it. I just didn't expect it exactly when it happened.
At least in the first then, I was crawling. I don't know what Sergio, if he was going like full pace or he was trying to save as well. His tire wear was definitely not as great. I mean, I didn't even realize during qualifying that Phil would decided to start on supers, so I was like, I have to even stand the chance to beat him, I have to take it very long. And I just sat behind Sergey saving fuel, which normally that gets done to me, so it feels nice to be on the other side for once.
Be on the other side of the gearbox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very good, very good. But yeah, no, it seemed like the strategy worked out fairly well, all things considered. I have to admit, it was a little bit odd to have to see a work for it this time out.
It was great. It needs to be like that more often. That's so much more fun.
I think it's more fun for everyone in general.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I mean, that's not a knock on you usually leading the race the whole way, but because winning is the number one objective here.
Yeah, but it's always worth a lot more when you actually need to work for it.
Well, fantastic race. Well done on the strategy, and next week. We got
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm sorry.
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. We have.
2 weeks at Silverstone. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Predictions?
Hate the track, so it doesn't mean I'm slow at it, but I'm never been a fan of Silverstone. I guess we'll see.
Silverstone might be the track where I actually finally learned this car. It's one of my favorites, but I've also done countless 6-hour races there. So, but yes. Anyways, we'll go ahead and let you go. I'll go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for stopping on by.
Thank you for streaming as well, by yourself at least.
No worries. Get it done.
Okay, cheers.
Well, that'll do it for us here at AOR RF2. I am Curtis Kenyon, otherwise known as NinjaRider. You can find us on Apex On Racing on Twitter, apexonlineracing.com. I've mentioned it a ton of times. If you haven't joined or checked out the website at least, do it now. Now's the time. Check us out on Twitter, of course, apexonracing.com for all race announcements and highlights and, of course, banter. Not really, but a little bit. That said, you can find all the team's Twitters there, as well as most of the drivers who happen to have Twitters. And, of course, all us commentators. You can find me on Twitter at NinjaRiderRL. Feel free to throw me a follow. Usually kind of chatting about Rocket League, but I do throw in some F1 every once in a while. And, of course, we talk about whatever happens to come up in the world. On that note, a fantastic race all around. Hockenheim, in my opinion, needs to be on the calendar much more. Very close race all around, and just one of those tracks that sort of captures the imagination, has a little bit of everything in a very tight-knit setup. And, of course, one of the classics in the world. I mean, 1932, come on. 2 weeks' time, we have Silverstone. Always a good race, and never a dull moment at Silverstone. Another one of those classic tracks that always provides some of the most fantastic racing in sim racing as well as in real life. This has been Apex Online Racing. I am Curtis Kenyon signing off. We'll see you in 2 weeks.